Sight, isn't it? I'm sure it feels very steamy outside for you. We have most of Texas and most of our friends over in Louisiana also under either an excessive heat warning or a heat advisory as this heat wave continues for going on now 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks of just a continuation of 95 to 99 degree days, and we actually squeezed in 3 100-degree days in there as well. Yesterday there was only 97. Today we're under a heat advisory. The heat advisory means it's going to feel like about 108 out there for this afternoon. So just take care of yourself. Don't overdo it. You know, a lot of this stuff is common sense, but when it comes to, you just can't be reminded enough about looking after children and the elderly, and especially anybody whose air conditioner might be on the fritz, you know, maybe an elderly person. There are cooling centers, you know, there's always a good place to go to, a library or even the shopping mall or something like that. An excessive heat warning is in effect for parts of Louisiana and then a lot of Texas too, including Dallas-Fort Worth. Now that's one of the factors that's contributing to strain on the Texas electrical grid too, is that it isn't just, you know, far west Texas that's getting the big time heat today. It's everybody. It's Houston, it's Dallas, it's Austin, it's San Antonio, and all the biggest cities. So this shows us the temperature trend here over the last 31 days. All of these yellow bars indicate where we're above average. So if you consider this middle area here to be average temperature, we've had a high temperature above average now for 18 days in a row. Today is going to be day number 19. Outside your door right now, this is what it's looking like, at least if you're in the Galleria area. We're actually atop the San Felipe Plaza. It's one of the tall buildings on San Felipe. Looking off toward the Williams Tower, and it's partly cloudy and getting really steamy out there at this hour, 11:02. It's 89 degrees with a feels like temperature of 99 degrees, a southwest wind at 10, and a 75-degree dew point combined with hot air like this is pretty sweltering, pretty steamy feeling out there, which is why we have that high heat index value. A lot of spots have hit 90. In fact, Sugar Land's at 91 at this hour, 90 degrees for Pearland and for Angleton as well as Conroe. We hit 91 already in Huntsville as well. So we will end up likely hitting 100 in some of these spots. More likely it'll be in the Huntsville area, the College Station area, maybe Brenham, likely to hit 100, maybe 101. We're aiming for around the upper 90s in Houston, but it is an interesting wrinkle there that at least at this point, at this hour, we do have a west wind there for Bush Intercontinental. I think that will switch back around to the south and southwest as we head into the afternoon, but that is curious to see a west wind. That would favor sort of a spike in temperatures. Heat index right now, 103 Galveston, 104 Sugar Land, and above 100 in a lot of spots. And, you know, it's only 11:03, so we're going to reach our maximum heat index values around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. If you're headed out to the pools today, or maybe you're taking a sort of a late day trip down to the beaches, here's what we got lined up for you. So it is going to be mainly sunny out there. High temperatures for Galveston Island and down around Surfside, Crystal Beach, and those spots, about 90 to 92. Inland, close to 100. That feels like value this afternoon will be around 105 to 110. The UV index, that's basically a measure of, you know, how fast you're going to get burned out there. It's 12 today, which is extreme. It actually only goes up to 12, and then, you know, it's a strange scale basically, but like anything above 10 is considered extreme. So 11, 12, that's what we're at today. Winds out of the south and southwest at 5 to 15 miles per hour. And last I checked, the Galveston Beach Patrol had their yellow flags up. Green is like when the water's completely smooth. Yellow, it's a little turbulent, and red is when there's a risk for rip currents and things like that. So yellow just means to swim with caution. Well, I tell you what, the rest of Texas is just baking under this hot Texas sun and this heat dome. High temperatures today out to the west. San Antonio about 104. Austin about 102. Just about the same for Dallas-Fort Worth, where they're under an excessive heat warning. Around 111 for a high in Laredo today. El Paso up to around 108. So this is just big time heat. In fact, this is the hottest weather across the country, what we're seeing right here in Texas. Now tomorrow, the area of high pressure moves just about directly over Houston. And so we're looking for around 100 here, roughly 100 for Beaumont, even hotter in Dallas, around 104, and another triple digit day for most of the state of Texas. All right, to check on the tropics right now. So you may recall last week we had Brett and Cindy. So we're really way ahead of the game as far as our hurricane season. We've already made it to the third named storm. We don't have any named storms out there right now. We do have a very broad tropical wave that's bringing some occasional wind gusts and some rainy weather, actually as far south as around Trinidad and Tobago, all the way up here to the northern parts of the Windward Islands, Antigua and those spots, getting in on some rainy weather, but you know, it's not anything that's unusual for those areas. Still beautiful. Liquid sunshine, I think they call it. This is what's left of Tropical Storm Cindy. A slight chance of redevelopment, but it's way out there in the middle of the Atlantic, really not bothering anybody right now, shipping possibly. We've had a little area of Saharan dust that moved off the west coast of Africa, and then it looks like it's going to sort of move across the Cape Verde Islands here into the central Atlantic. Why do we care about Saharan dust? You know, it shouldn't have any effect on us. Well, it does tend to tamp down activity in the tropics. Multiple ways that it does that. First thing is, most often the Saharan dust is associated with dry air, so that makes sense coming off the desert, right? But also when there's dust suspended in the atmosphere, it can warm. You know, the sunlight hits it, it absorbs the sunlight, and it'll warm that layer of the atmosphere above the ground, which makes the air more stable, makes the atmosphere more stable. And so it's unlikely for air to rise and create big thunderstorm clouds. That even happens around here on some days when we're really hazy. It'll lead to a suppression of thunderstorms. So here's our overall weather pattern across the country right now. It's what we call the Omega block, which is down on the sides and up in the middle. And so that's why we have this series of heat advisories and excessive heat warnings. If you want to cool off, you could head to the northeast, places like Philadelphia, New York City, getting some rain right now. Temperatures in the 70s. It's also a bit cool out in the western part of the U.S. over the west coast. So here's what lies ahead for us. Muggy conditions are going to prevail today, no doubt about that. Heat index value about 105 to 110. Now, if it were to spike up to 112, that's what would justify getting upgraded to an excessive heat warning instead of the heat advisory. With the sunshine we're going to have there today, and the fact that we do have southwest breezes, and remember I showed you that west wind at Bush Airport, that may allow our actual air temperature to get up to 100 or 101. The heat index, though, would probably still stay around 105 to 110 because the air is just a little bit drier today than it has been over the last couple days. You might not even be able to feel it, but the dew point is a little bit lower today than it was yesterday. Steamy again for tonight. We'll probably stay 80 degrees or above in most locations for low temperatures, and we'll stay pretty steamy again tomorrow with hot sunshine, high temperatures topping out in the upper 90s to low 100s. And as far as whether or not this heat wave is going to stop anytime soon, not really. So today we're under that heat advisory near 100. Tomorrow and heading into Thursday, also near 100, maybe 101. Overnight low temperatures staying 80 or above. So that means that each day we're going to be under either a heat advisory or an excessive heat warning. And that's going to hang around through Friday, maybe Saturday as well. So all of these are going to continue our pattern of having above average high temperatures. And so today will make day 19, 20, 21, 22, most likely 23, 24, and 25. So we're going to string together almost a month of above average high temperatures. This big area of high pressure that we have in place does look like it's going to start to sneak off toward the east, a little closer to the Florida Panhandle, coming up for next week, which, by the way, Tuesday, just after the 7-day, is the 4th of July. So that one is going to come along with a chance for seeing some showers, which may tamp down the temperature just a little bit. But I want to invite you to join us for Fox 26 News at noon. We'll have the latest update numbers as to the forecast and give you probably a look at some crazy heat index values out there. We'll get a check of what's happening in the tropics as well. Don't forget to visit our weather page. Click on the weather page here, whether you're on myfoxhouston.com, fox26houston.com, or on the Fox 26 weather app. See you back.